What Baba Vanga's 2025 blackout warning means for humanity. It doesn't begin with thunder, or the crash of civilizations, or the glow of screens fading to black. It begins with something more unnerving. A pause. A stillness that wraps around the world like a whisper too ancient to ignore. In 2025, a vision from the mysterious seer Baba Vanga speaks of a great blackout. Not just a loss of electricity, but a deeper disconnection. One that reaches into the soul of humanity. What if this warning isn't about wires or satellites, but about the inner lights we've let flicker out in the noise of modern life? Is this prophecy a sign of technology's failure or of our own? Could the true blackout be spiritual? A moment where society forgets itself, its values, its compassion. Before we drift further into the unknown, take a breath. This journey is more than prediction, it's reflection. Subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom, where ancient insights meet the questions of today. And if something stirs within you as we walk this path together, leave your thoughts below. Your voice matters in the silence. Number 1. Who was Baba Vanga? The mystic behind the warning. To understand the weight of Baba Vanga's 2025 blackout prophecy, we first need to understand the woman behind the vision. Born in 1911 in the small village of Strumica, then part of the Ottoman Empire, now located in North Macedonia, Baba Vanga lived a life marked by hardship, mystery, and spiritual intrigue. Her path to becoming one of the world's most enigmatic prophets began at the age of 12, when she was caught in a violent, dust-filled storm that left her permanently blind. But what seemed like a tragic accident would become the turning point of her life. According to her, and those closest to her, the storm didn't just take her eyesight, it opened her inner vision. After the event, she began to speak of things no one around her could explain. She described events that hadn't yet occurred, referenced people she'd never met, and sensed global shifts that baffled even skeptics. As word spread of her prophecies, people traveled from across Eastern Europe. Politicians, scientists, villagers, even military leaders, all seeking answers to questions they believed only she could see. But Baba Vanga's gift came with a peculiar caveat. She never wrote anything down. Her prophecies were spoken in riddles and whispers, passed from mouth to mouth, heart to heart. Her followers recorded her words, but many believed that something essential was always lost in translation. Her visions were layered in metaphor, often cryptic, leaving room for both misinterpretation and awe. One of her most haunting predictions still echoes today. A great darkness will descend upon mankind. The world shall be veiled in silence, and only those who have listened to the old voices will understand its meaning. What did she mean by darkness? Was it a blackout in the literal sense, or a warning about a deeper spiritual collapse? And who were the old voices? Ancestors? Inner instincts? Forgotten truths? Baba Vanga never explained directly. That was part of the mystery. She believed those who were meant to understand would hear her clearly, not with their ears, but with their awareness. Today, her legacy lives on not just in the specific predictions she made, but in the emotional undercurrent of her warnings. She didn't speak merely to scare, but to prepare. Whether you view her as a gifted clairvoyant, a misunderstood spiritualist, or something else entirely, one thing is certain: Baba Vanga's voice has not faded with time. It's only grown louder as her most chilling predictions begin to echo through our modern world. Number 2. Interpreting the blackout, literal or symbolic. 1. Physical interpretation. When the lights go out. Let's begin with the most literal, and perhaps the most immediately terrifying, interpretation of Baba Vanga's 2025 blackout prophecy, a massive global power outage. We're not talking about a flickering bulb or a few hours without Wi-Fi. Think total darkness, cities plunged into shadow, entire continents disconnected from the grid. It's happened before on a smaller scale. Take the New York City blackout of 2003, a single event that left over 50 million people without electricity across the northeastern United States and parts of Canada. For hours and even days, people were stranded. Traffic lights failed, subways froze, and the air filled with confusion, frustration, and fear. That was one region. Now scale that chaos globally. What if the lights don't come back in a few hours? What if this time it's not a technical glitch or a grid overload, but something much deeper and longer lasting? Days without power, weeks without communication, no lights, no refrigeration, no banking, no fuel delivery, no information. The scary truth is, our modern infrastructure is far more fragile than we like to admit. We've built a civilization that depends on an invisible web of energy, yet we rarely think about how vulnerable it is. One well-placed solar flare, cyber attack, or unforeseen system failure, and we could find ourselves waking up to a world that has gone dark, cold, and disconnected. And here's where Baba Vanga's warning starts to feel eerily relevant. She didn't mention power plants or transformers, but she did speak of silence, darkness, and a return to the old ways. Could this be her way of pointing to a physical collapse? A world forced to hit the reset button because the systems we rely on are too unstable to survive? A global blackout wouldn't just dim the lights. It would shatter the illusion of control. It would force us to ask hard questions. How long could we survive without power? Who would lead and who would fall? How would we adapt in a world that no longer runs on electricity, but on instinct? This isn't a warning meant to provoke panic. It's a wake-up call. In a world where we assume power will always flow, Baba Vanga's chilling message reminds us that the lights we take for granted may someday go out. Not metaphorically, but literally. 2. Technological interpretation. When the digital world dies. Now let's shift from the physical to the digital, the fragile, blinking heart of our modern world. What if Baba Vanga's prophecy wasn't about electricity at all, but about something far more destabilizing? The collapse of the digital realm. We live in an age where data flows through everything. Every phone call, every map, every financial transaction, every emergency response. But what happens if that flow is suddenly severed? No internet, no GPS, no satellite signals, AI systems frozen mid-thought. The world would not just go dark, it would go silent, lost in its own confusion. This isn't science fiction. Experts in cybersecurity and digital infrastructure have long warned of this exact scenario. A complete digital blackout caused by a massive cyber attack, a rogue artificial intelligence, or a targeted satellite disruption. One domino falls, and suddenly the apps we depend on to navigate, communicate, buy food, transfer money, even call for help become useless. Think about it. No access to your bank account, no phone signal, no emergency hotlines, no news, no social media. It would be more than inconvenience, it would be chaos. A sudden and brutal re-entry into the pre-internet era, but without the cultural memory or tools to survive it. Baba Vanga's chilling phrase, "The machines will fall silent," may not refer to electrical failure. It could mean the silence of the digital world we built, vanishing in an instant. In this silence, who are we without our screens, our data, our notifications? Do we even know? The terrifying truth is this: we've built our entire civilization on invisible code, and we've done it without a backup plan. The cloud, once hailed as untouchable, could evaporate with the right series of keystrokes. Satellites orbiting thousands of miles above could blink out in a cosmic flash. And artificial intelligence, if ever turned against us, might not need weapons. It would simply need to shut us off from ourselves. This interpretation of the blackout is not just about losing access, it's about losing identity. We've become so entangled with our devices, our online profiles, and our digital dependencies that if the system collapsed, so would the version of reality we've come to rely on. So maybe Baba Vanga wasn't just warning us about a power outage. Maybe she was hinting at a much deeper vulnerability, the day we wake up and the digital mirror goes black. If you're still watching, you're not here by accident. Something in you knows there's more to this world than what meets the eye. Comment, "I see the signs," if you're ready to understand the deeper meaning behind Baba Vanga's 2025 blackout warning. Stay with us. What comes next may change how you view the future forever. 3. Psychological interpretation, the darkness within. While many interpret Baba Vanga's prophecy as a physical or digital blackout, there's a more unsettling possibility, one that strikes not at our environment but at our very minds, a psychological blackout. A mass mental fog, a spiritual silence so profound it disconnects us from who we are. Imagine a world where people begin to forget, not just phone numbers or passwords, but their own identities, where names fade, timelines blur, purpose dissolves. It sounds like dystopian fiction, but researchers and psychologists have already begun sounding the alarm. Collective dissociation is real, and it's growing. In today's hyper-connected world, paradoxically, we're more emotionally detached than ever. Studies on trauma, digital fatigue, and societal burnout suggest that mass psychosis and cognitive breakdowns are no longer rare. They're becoming disturbingly common. We scroll endlessly, absorb crisis after crisis, and still feel empty, disoriented, apathetic. This is the invisible blackout, the one that doesn't strike the power grid or the satellites, but the soul. A slow erosion of meaning, a quiet epidemic of forgetting what it means to be fully alive. What if Baba Vanga foresaw this creeping collapse of consciousness? When she warned of darkness and silence, maybe she wasn't talking about external events at all, but the inner silence that swallows a society numb to truth, numb to self, numb to spirit. You might think that would never happen on a global scale, but signs are already here. Rising levels of depression, increasing social isolation, people forgetting how to speak face to face, how to process grief, how to stay present. In this interpretation, the blackout is not the end of light, but the end of clarity. We're not just at risk of losing access to power or the internet, we're at risk of losing ourselves. And that is perhaps the most terrifying form of darkness, because when memory fades, when purpose becomes fog, and when people stop asking, "Why am I here?" civilization begins to dissolve from the inside out. So ask yourself, are we already in the early stages of this psychological blackout? Are we living under the illusion of connection while forgetting the fundamentals of being human? Perhaps Baba Vanga wasn't warning us about an event to come. She was describing the present. And her prophecy may not be a prediction at all, but a mirror. Number 3. Baba Vanga and other prophecies align. Baba Vanga wasn't the only one who spoke of a coming darkness. Throughout history, scattered across continents and centuries, other prophetic voices have echoed eerily similar warnings, pointing not to some distant future, but specifically to the mid-2020s. Could this be mere coincidence? Or are we standing at the center of a prophetic convergence, a moment foretold by mystics long gone? Take Nostradamus, the famed French seer of the 16th century. In his cryptic quatrains, he spoke of a time when a great silence shall fall upon the earth, when humanity would be engulfed in stillness, not from peace, but from something unnatural. His descriptions match the tone of Vanga's blackout, not just darkness in the physical sense, but a kind of existential void. He wasn't alone. Other mystics, from Eastern sages to indigenous seers, spoke of a coming era marked by confusion, collapse, and eventual awakening. They described a great unraveling, a time when truth would be distorted, systems would break down, and humanity would be forced to choose between spiritual awakening and total disconnection. And what year did many of these timelines converge on? In 2025. Why this year? Why do so many unrelated voices, separated by language, culture, and even belief systems, seem to focus on this particular moment in time? Is it a reflection of cyclical planetary energy, a collective psychic foresight, or something encoded in the very fabric of our reality? Some believe these dates align with celestial events and shifts in solar activity. Others say it's a karmic turning point, a spiritual checkpoint where humanity must evolve or fall deeper into chaos. Whatever the explanation, the pattern is too consistent to ignore. When multiple voices across history, Baba Vanga, Nostradamus, and countless lesser-known mystics, speak the same message, we must ask, are they warning us, guiding us, or simply reflecting the future that, deep down, we already sense is coming? If 2025 is the fulcrum on which our fate turns, then the time to prepare, to listen, and to awaken isn't tomorrow. It's now. Thank you for staying with us so far. Baba Vanga's warning isn't just a prediction. It's a reminder for all of us to reconnect with what truly matters. If you feel the urgency of this message, comment "Awake for Humanity" to show you're ready to walk the path of awareness. Don't miss the rest. There's still more wisdom to unfold. What we must do before the darkness falls. Let's be clear, Baba Vanga's blackout prophecy isn't just about doom. It's not a horror story meant to haunt you. It's an invitation to reflect. Whether the darkness she predicted comes through wires, satellites, or our own minds, one truth remains: we are not powerless. In fact, the most urgent question isn't, will the blackout come? But will we be ready for it within ourselves? Before the world dims, we must learn to see again, not with our eyes, but with wisdom. Number 1. Reconnect with your inner compass. In our modern age, where screens blink endlessly and the rush of life rarely pauses, many of us have drifted away from the quiet voice within, the inner compass that once helped us navigate with clarity and purpose. We live in a time when distraction has become the default, and silence almost feels foreign. But before the darkness of confusion, burnout, or regret falls over our lives, we must learn to return to the stillness that restores us. This stillness isn't just a luxury for monks in distant monasteries, it's a lifeline we all can reach for. Whether it's sitting quietly with our breath in meditation, whispering a simple prayer, or just taking 5 minutes to reflect in silence before the world wakes up, these practices are like lanterns in the fog, gently illuminating the way back to ourselves. As the Buddha taught, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Yet so often we keep seeking peace in things that only stir more restlessness. In reality, even a few moments of true stillness can help us hear what's real, what matters, and what direction we need to take next. Just like a compass must remain still to point true north, we too must slow down if we hope to find our way. Reconnecting with your inner compass isn't about grand spiritual breakthroughs. It's about returning again and again to the quiet spaces where your wisdom lives. It's in those pauses that you remember who you are, beyond the roles you play or the tasks you juggle. And if you're feeling lost, anxious, or simply tired, know that peace is not as far as it feels. It begins with a single breath and a decision to listen. In the words of Lao Tzu, silence is a source of great strength. Modern life may never slow down for us, but we can choose to slow down for it. And in doing so, we reclaim our power, our clarity, and our sense of connection. For those of us navigating the pressures of adulthood, from caring for aging parents to leading families and managing careers, finding just a few quiet moments a day isn't selfish, it's essential. It helps us show up more grounded, more present, and more kind. Let each morning or evening be your sacred space, your gentle return to center, so that you may walk into the world less reactive, more conscious, and deeply aligned with what truly matters. As Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, the present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. The path forward isn't in doing more, but in doing less, with more presence. Start small, stay consistent, and, most importantly, trust that within you is a compass that never stopped pointing home. It's just waiting for you to listen. Number 2, build real human bonds. In this fast-moving digital world, it's easy to mistake connection for closeness. We scroll, we like, we comment, but how many of those interactions truly nourish us? How many of the people we talk to online would show up at our door if things really fell apart? When the lights go out, whether it's a physical blackout, a moment of personal crisis, or a spiritual darkness, it won't be your follower count, your curated posts, or your online reputation that saves you. It will be the real people in your life, the ones who've heard your voice in laughter and in sorrow, the ones who know your heart beyond what you type on a screen. Ask yourself, who are those people for you? And are you showing up for them in return? Now is the time to build and strengthen real human bonds, not later, when everything has already crumbled. It starts with something simple but powerful. Pick up the phone. Call someone you've lost touch with, or visit someone you know is lonely. And maybe, just maybe, forgive someone. Not because they deserve it, but because you're ready to stop carrying that burden. These are the gestures that hold communities together, that weave the invisible threads of belonging, of shared strength, of being truly seen and known. As the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We weren't meant to walk through life or darkness on our own. So ask yourself, what kind of relationships are you investing in right now? Are they rooted in presence, trust, and mutual care? Or are they shallow, maintained by habit and convenience? In a time when so many of us are physically close but emotionally distant, we must challenge ourselves to reconnect on a deeper level. Let your words carry warmth, let your presence be felt, and let your time reflect your priorities. It's the neighbor who checks in when they haven't seen you for a few days, the friend who listens without needing to fix, the family member who sits with you through silence. These are the people who light the path when things grow dim. So, instead of waiting for the crisis to remind you of who really matters, choose today to nurture those connections. Ask, who needs my kindness? Who have I neglected? Who have I misunderstood? The answers will guide you back to the roots of what makes us human. And the more you give to others from the heart, the more your own spirit is lifted. In Buddhism, there's a simple teaching. If you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your own path. Real bonds don't require perfection. They just need presence, honesty, and a willingness to care. So if there's one lesson to take away, it's this. Before the darkness falls, make sure your life is filled with people who know you, love you, and walk beside you, not just online, but in the moments that truly matter. Number 3, strengthen emotional and spiritual resilience. Let's speak plainly. Life, as you know, doesn't promise calm seas. Whether it's a technological collapse that throws society into confusion or a more subtle kind of darkness, like losing your sense of purpose, facing grief, or simply feeling overwhelmed by the speed and chaos of the world, hardship is part of the human experience. So the real question is, are you preparing yourself not just with skills or resources, but with the strength of heart and clarity of spirit needed to stay centered when everything around you begins to shake? This kind of inner strength isn't something you're born with, it's something you cultivate. Think of it as spiritual muscle, and like any muscle, it grows when you train it with care, consistency, and sincerity. One way to do that is by turning to the wisdom passed down through generations, reading sacred texts that have helped others survive storms of their own, whether that's the Dhammapada, the Tao Te Ching, or even the teachings of philosophers who have pondered what it means to live well in uncertain times. Don't just read for comfort. Read to understand the nature of life, suffering, and your own mind. As the Buddha said, endurance is one of the most difficult disciplines, but it is to the one who endures that the final victory comes. So I ask you, what have you done today to strengthen your emotional and spiritual resilience? Have you taken time to reflect on what truly matters to you, not what society tells you to value, but what your own heart knows to be true? Have you given your mind the space to breathe, to rest, and to see clearly without being pulled in every direction by noise and fear? These moments of quiet reflection are not luxuries. they are necessities. Especially now. Because when the noise grows louder, when panic spreads, when certainty vanishes, it's not those with the most data or the most followers who will endure. It's those who've trained their minds to stay grounded in stillness. And that training can begin today, wherever you are. Start by sitting in silence for 5 minutes and simply observing your breath. Or write down your values, what you believe in so deeply that no crisis could shake them. Emotional resilience means allowing yourself to feel without being ruled by what you feel. It means being compassionate with yourself in moments of fear while choosing not to be consumed by it. Spiritual resilience is the quiet confidence that you are more than what happens to you. It's remembering, even in the dark, that light still exists. And often it shines from within. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, when you plant lettuce, if it does not grow well, you don't blame the lettuce. You look for reasons it is not doing well. The same goes for our spirit. If we don't feel strong, peaceful, or clear, maybe we need to tend to the conditions of our inner garden. So ask yourself, honestly, what are you doing today to prepare your spirit for tomorrow's uncertainty? Don't wait until the storm hits to wonder if your roots are deep enough. This is the time to build them with care, wisdom, and quiet strength. If this message touched something in you, leave a comment with just one word, rooted. It's a quiet way of saying, I'm building my strength from within. Number 4, simplify your life. In today's fast-paced world, many of us have unknowingly built our lives and our sense of identity on fragile foundations. We often tie our self-worth to our careers, our jobs to constant internet access, our happiness to shopping carts, and our confidence to how we appear in photos or social media. But what happens if those systems we rely on suddenly collapse, or even temporarily vanish? If the lights go out, if the internet fails, if the economy wobbles, who are we without all of it? This is not just a hypothetical fear, it's a quiet truth worth confronting. Simplifying your life now, mentally, emotionally, and materially, is not about deprivation. It's about resilience. It's about discovering what truly matters and letting go of the excess that clutters, not just your home, but your heart and mind. Simplifying doesn't mean throwing everything away or quitting your job. It means creating space in your life for clarity, peace, and strength that doesn't depend on things you can't control. Think about the time and energy spent maintaining appearances, upgrading devices, keeping up with trends, or worrying about things that, in the end, bring little lasting fulfillment. What if you redirected some of that energy into cultivating stillness, practicing gratitude, or building meaningful relationships? As the Buddhist teaching goes, contentment is the greatest wealth, and in that light, simplification becomes a path toward real abundance. Not the kind that can be unplugged or washed away, but the kind that stays with you no matter what. Ask yourself, what are the things in your life you could let go of that would actually bring more peace, not less? What daily habits or mental patterns are making your life more complicated than it needs to be? The truth is, every item we own, every commitment we make, and every thought we carry has weight. And when life becomes uncertain, the lighter we travel, the easier it is to move with grace. In modern life, simplicity is a form of quiet rebellion against the constant push to do more, buy more, and be more. It's choosing depth over distraction, connection over consumption, and inner clarity over outer noise. By simplifying now, you're not just preparing for possible crisis, you're choosing to live a richer, more present life today. You don't have to renounce the world to live simply. You only need to stop letting the world define your worth. Real strength comes not from having everything, but from needing very little to feel whole. So, before the darkness falls, ask yourself this: what can I let go of that no longer serves my well-being? What can I simplify that would give me more time, more space, and more peace? The answers are within you, and every small change you make today plants the seeds of a more stable and grounded tomorrow. Number 5. Share what matters now. Let's be honest, most of us live as if we'll always have more time. More time to say thank you, more time to forgive, more time to say I love you, and more time to share the stories and wisdom that shaped who we are. But deep down, we know that time is not guaranteed, and there may come a day when messages can no longer be sent, when technology fails us, or when silence replaces the chance we once had to speak from the heart. So the real question is, what are you holding back that needs to be said today? Often we wait for the right moment to open up, to reconnect, or to express our truth. But that perfect moment rarely arrives on its own. That's why now, not later, is the time to share what truly matters. Whether it's telling your children the values you hope they carry forward, reminding a friend how much their presence means to you, or simply saying thank you to someone who's been quietly holding space for you, these words are not small, they are sacred. As the Buddhist master Atisho once taught, do not be content with showing friendship in words alone. Let your heart burn with loving kindness for all. It's easy to assume people know how we feel, but unspoken love is often never felt. A kind word left unsaid can become a lifelong regret, while a heartfelt message delivered now can echo through generations. Think about this. What would you want your loved ones to remember if everything went dark tomorrow? What lessons would you want your children or younger relatives to carry into the future? What truth have you been holding that could bring healing, peace, or understanding if you just found the courage to speak it aloud? These questions aren't just poetic, they're deeply practical, because when everything else falls away, it's not our possessions or digital files that last, but the memories we plant in the hearts of others. Sharing what matters isn't only about the big emotional moments either. It's also about passing on life's simple wisdom. How to make someone feel heard, how to remain kind during conflict, how to be generous with your time, and how to live with humility. These are the gifts that can't be erased or corrupted, because they live on in how we touch each other's lives. And when you take that step to speak your truth, express your care, or give thanks, you strengthen the invisible threads of connection that keep us human, grounded, and compassionate. So ask yourself, who have I been meaning to reach out to? What have I been waiting to say that I would regret keeping inside? This is the time to act. Don't wait for silence to remind you how loud your love should have been. In the end, what we leave in the hearts of others will far outlast anything stored in the cloud. Speak now, share fully, and let your words be the light that continues to shine, long after the darkness falls. As we've explored today, Baba Vanga's warning of a 2025 blackout may not just be about power grids or lost connections. It could be a mirror held up to our own lives. Whether it's a collapse of technology, a spiritual fog, or a wake-up call to reconnect with what truly matters, the message is clear. The time to reflect, prepare, and awaken is now. So, what will you do before the darkness falls? If this video sparked something within you, if it made you pause, reflect, or even see things differently, then I invite you to become part of this journey. Please like, share, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming reflections and teachings. Together, let's continue walking this path, not in fear, but in awareness, compassion, and courage. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care of your inner light.